Good evening, everyone. Hey, tribe. Welcome back to another episode of the Love Chat, where we are uncut, unedited, and unfiltered. I'm so excited about tonight's guest. Some of you know her. I've known her for quite some time now. I'm excited about her being on here. She's a friend. She's a sister to me. She's a confidant. She is a comedian. She is what God wants her to be when I need her to be, and for a whole lot of other people. And I'm glad to welcome tonight Miss Angela Jackson.
Well, hello.
Hello, doll. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a comedian, huh?
You
Didn't
are.
know that. Didn't
You
know
are.
that part.
I know. Nobody told you, so I'm just
No.
gonna put it out. We have much laughter together. Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
so sometimes her comedy hat is on, and it gets real good.
It does. Really good.
So now you can add that to your to your resume.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll put it with the rest of the things in my repertoire.
In repertoire. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Well, before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on.
Yay.
Um, I'm excited for this and for the new journeys that God has me on. So I appreciate you taking the time out to think of little old me.
Woo, woo,
Uh,
woo.
and then just a little bit about me. I mean, I'm a type of person that I don't let a lot of grass grow under my feet. So I'm always busy. I have my hands in a lot of things. Um, Currently in started a new business with my husband. Actually, we've been in the business for a long time. Our business is called F&A Concepts. We do pretty much all things content, website, um, copywriting in the sense of if you need language to go on your web pages or your posts for social media, you can contact us. We can help you with that. We do posters, flyers, business cards. I mean, we have our hands in a lot of things as it relates to um, media, social media, and website. Um,
Nice.
and then um, I also sell jewelry on the side, and I absolutely love my business. It's called A-
Mhm.
AJ's Conceptual Blings. I'm on every Mondays at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, alternating Tuesdays at 7 p.m., and then every other Friday at 8 p.m. Woo woo.
Whoop, whoop.
So come join me on that. I'm also a business and life coach. Um, and I just finished my chapter. I'm going to be in a book compilation, and we're
Nice.
having a celebration in November, November 4th. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a flyer will be going out really soon for that, for our book release and all of that. So I'm really excited, totally excited.
Nice.
Also developed a content planner and journal that I
Mm.
am, it was a larger book, but I am now segmenting that. And I'm going to be offering that on Amazon. So look for that really soon as well.
Nice.
So, like I said, I have my hands in a lot of things. I don't let a lot of grass grow under my feet. I have to stay busy. So,
I like the way you put that. I don't let a lot of grass grow under my
mm-mm,
feet. I'm gonna use that. I'm
mm-mm.
gonna use that. Sounds like something Grandma would have said. Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes the inner grandma comes out of me.
That's when that comfort level gets real good. I'm gonna learn something and be comfortable. Yeah, getting
Right?
fed. Well, tonight's subject, I'm gonna be honest, I got my Kleenex in two different areas. Um, in
Lord.
all honesty, I'll be honest. Whew, the last episode, this episode, and the episode to come are tear jerkers, but very necessary. God really pulled at my heart with these subjects. And this subject at hand is learning that it's okay to love you.
Hmm.
So we're about to go through that. I said I got my
Jesus,
Kleenex.
help today, Lord.
I, although we talked about this the other day, I'm really not even sure where to start today. We we had an in-depth conversation the other day.
Man,
So,
did we?
and it kind of stirred up a whole lot of stuff.
Man.
So I guess the first thing I want to say is, what do you feel about, or how did you realize that learning to love yourself is a process?
um, when one day I realized I was battling with loving myself.
Mm,
And I thought I was past it, but I wasn't.
mm-hmm,
So I knew at that point that yeah, it's still a work in progress.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that's when I realized it. And
And
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we always have, you know, battles and trying times in our mind and our life and our bodies and all that, where we we're not sure if today is today the day that I love me,
Mm-hmm.
or am I having a struggle.
Right.
um so when different issues arise, I think that's when you realize, I'm having a tough time today.
Yeah.
So
I think it's kind of, for a lot of us, dare I say this, but I better say it or not, or get in trouble for it. Um, when we're in the process, I don't think that we realize that there is a battle there.
no,
And that
no,
battle, if we don't realize it, it can be toxic.
right,
I'm
right,
gonna let you have that one for a second. Just for a second.
right. And I think sometimes that pendulum swings all the way to the left
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm-hmm.
don't realize that it's a process, and we start going through all of those negative thoughts and negative behaviors that spiral us
Yeah.
in that thought and in those feelings, and then the low self-esteem,
Yeah.
the self-worth. You don't feel like you're worth anything, or
Mm-hmm.
and for me, like I shared with you, I had a battle with anxiety and depression,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't really know that that's what I was dealing with. And that's when I really found that I was having a really, really hard time with
Mm-hmm.
loving me. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to go into isolation. I felt like I was being sucked into a vortex and
Yeah.
a cocoon of all of these heavy feelings
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, I can't even describe it all fully, but I just felt as if, I did so much damage to myself that there was no way I can pull myself out.
Yeah.
And I tried to sit and pray, kneel and pray, lay and pray, and the words wouldn't come out, and all I could do was cry.
Yeah.
And man, Cree, why are we going heavy so quick?
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I told you I
But
got my Kleenex. I knew it was
but it's
coming.
but it's just reminding me, and I don't gosh, it's just reminding me of all of those things that I put myself through,
Mm-hmm.
and unnecessarily, and it dealt with my love for myself and even my love for God.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
So,
Ooh. I think, because especially, no, knowing let me just put myself on the chopping board. I take a lot of pride. I was taking a lot of pride, and this has changed recently, where I would just say, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't okay. And I personally, and I really hope this helps somebody, made the conscious decision that when someone asked me if I'm okay, the part of loving myself was, if I wasn't, to say, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, girl, I got so good at wearing that mask of when someone asked, "So how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well. I'm blessed."
Yeah.
Knowing on the inside, I'm crying like, "Please see past this thing that I'm putting in front of you. Please see behind this
Yeah.
because I'm hurting on the inside, but I'm telling you that I'm okay." Maybe whoever asked at that moment, maybe I didn't feel safe enough to share that I wasn't. I don't know what the case may be, but you know, it fear set in as well
Yeah.
when you're having those battles of not loving you the way you should. And you're afraid to say, you know, I'm struggling in this area.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you, prayer is good, but you know what? Where I really started understanding where I was in my relationship with myself was when I went to see a therapist.
Please
Eh,
say it again.
a therapist. We need Jesus and therapy. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's completely okay. I didn't think it was at the time, and because I was kind of raised with that being a faux pas. If
Right.
it's something that, wasn't necessarily a spoken thing that was taught in my household, but, it was always pray about it, Jesus fix it. He's a mind regulator. And you
Right.
know what? He is, but when you don't even know where to start with how your mind is even working, sometimes you need to go to somebody who is skilled in that area,
Right.
not your best friend. You need to go to someone who is licensed and experienced in that area to help you
Mm-hmm.
pull things out that you've been holding on to and suppressing for
Right.
years. Then once you clean and get all of that stuff out of the way, then you can see clearer a path from all that junk that you had covering your heart, even from yourself.
Right.
We don't even want to see it ourselves because we think of it as it's messed up, it's dirty, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But my therapist helped me to see that. Um, so that's what kind of started the ball rolling for me. And now I'm more cognizant, I'm more aware of my love life for myself. I
Right.
had to see that I had to love me before I could love anybody else appropriately.
Right.
Because that was the struggle as well. I was struggling even in my love for others and with others because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love me the way that I should. I was confused. I didn't know how to love me appropriately.
Yeah. And if you don't know how to love you, how can you get? Because I think this is the problem. I'm put pause right there in that sentence. I bring it back up. But if I have this fog in front of me
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
I haven't gotten the help that I need, and let's be honest, a lot, just like you were talking about, it's sometimes it's the unspoken of, I can go to my auntie, and it's a lot of what happens in this house stays in this house.
Mhm.
And people think, I'm just going to be clear because I have friends and family of every nationality. It
Mhm.
is not a cultural thing.
Mhm.
Every family that I am connected to and every nationality has
Mhm.
that unspoken thing about not. And there are some that don't. There are some, I will say, there is one nationality that has it less, but they still have the same thing. Don't be telling anybody. Don't you
Mhm.
dare tell anybody what's going on in my house. But there's
Mhm.
some things I have to get freed from so that I can get this fog out of the way and see that loving me, it's not just something that's said, it's a necessity. Because
Right.
I can't get mad at you for not loving me the right way
Mm-hmm.
if I don't even know how to love
Whew. Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
I see that a lot. They treated me bad. Well, how did they treat you? And then you don't even have an explanation for it
Mm-hmm.
because you
Mm-hmm.
haven't learned you haven't learned who you are.
I I had an experiment with myself. I said, you know what? I'm going to take me out on a date.
Come on, date.
And so I went out by myself, took my own self shopping, bought my own self whatever I wanted to buy that day. I took my own self to the movies. I was a little embarrassed and a little nervous at the same time to go to the movies by myself because I felt like, oh, somebody's gonna say, what a loner, right? Sitting there by
Mm-hmm.
yourself with my own little popcorn, but
Mm-hmm.
my own little row because I went to a matinee. There was hardly anybody in the theater, but I enjoyed myself and thought, man, how come I haven't done this before?
Right.
But I had to spend some time with myself to figure out what I liked, um, and who I was so
Mm-hmm.
that I could better understand me. Therefore, when I do in turn share the love that I have in my heart with others, I can love them
Mm-hmm.
appropriately.
Yeah.
So,
Don't you think, maybe it's just me, learning to love me made me more aware of who I could be around that was a safe place?
mhm, mhm, because you won't so willy nilly just spend time with everybody or give your heart to everybody that is not going to treat it properly or with care.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
yeah, you find that safety when you learn who you are. And I'm still evolving. And so when you ask me about this subject, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm still trying to learn this myself. I mean, I don't have it all together. I've come a long way and I still have yet a ways to go, but I think I've made some great progress. And now I've
Mm-hmm.
surrounded myself with people that remind me of who I am,
Yeah.
and also reminds me of my worth,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Right.
I can validate myself. I hope that doesn't sound, uh, I just hope it
No,
doesn't.
that's right.
But what I'm trying to say is that I can't allow someone else to affirm or reassure me of who I am without
Right.
me first doing it myself.
Right. Validate yourself first.
Yes, because then you'll be stuck on, okay, you didn't affirm me today, so now I don't know who I am. You didn't affirm me today, so now I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, affirm yourself. We have to love our neighbors as ourselves.
Right.
We gotta love us before we can even love somebody else. And for me, as a child of God, I mean, we're gonna have to turn this corner. I knew we were gonna turn it eventually, but we go this way and say
Mm-hmm.
that love is of God
Yes.
and God is love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't love, we don't have God.
Period.
Point blank.
And
So
uh,
go
d-
ahead.
ooh, a lot of people don't like to say now that they're, you know, that they have a certain denomination or something. So they say, I'm religious
Hmm,
or I'm not religious, but I believe in a higher power.
hmm,
You cannot believe in this higher power if you don't believe in love,
hmm.
because this higher power is love.
It's love.
Period.
He's love.
Here, you can't tell me, oh, I just believe there's something higher. What is it?
Right. Tell me what it is.
And
Go on and name him.
I've asked, because you know me, I'm sometimes my face just says something, but there's times, I sit up and I ask, well, what is it? It just, they say the same thing. It just feels good and it makes
Mm,
everyone love each other. There it is again, love.
right. Because you could say, oh yeah, it feels good, makes everybody love it, everybody, but so does alcohol and weed and drugs. I mean, for
Child,
for a temporary amount of time. I mean,
right. Make
so
you
we
real
we
lovey
got
dovey.
right. We got to be specific on what
Right.
we're talking about. Who are
What
you talking
is it?
about?
This thing you keep describing to say it's just bigger than me. You're right.
Huh. Yes,
It
he is.
is bigger than
Huh.
me.
He is bigger than you. He's bigger than all of us.
Absolutely. It, oh, Angela, you did.
My
Angela,
high my higher power has a name. He has a
yes,
first name,
yes.
and it's not Oscar Mayer. Okay.
Okay.
My
He
higher
don't have
power
a
has
first
many
name and a
names.
last name. He
No,
got a
he has
name.
he has many names. He has the name above all names.
Come on. Don't start that. Won't be like now.
And at the name
It's the
of Jesus,
name.
every knee shall bow.
Right. This is it's
So,
so I love people. I love to hear, and everybody's calls him something different.
mhm,
And they do. But at the end of the day, he's love.
mhm, mhm.
He loved, we try not to get deep. I'm trying to stay on subject, but
Right, right, right.
he loved me enough to
Hmm.
look away and let his son come die for me.
Come on.
That's love. And that is an example. I had a
Mhm,
person, oh my God, I'm trying, oh God. I had a person that I knew ask me who, because we grew up in church.
mhm.
We had to get old to really know the people that wasn't in church. And this person, I became an adult, this person said to me when watching, oh my God, I can't think of the name of the movie, uh, Mel Gibson's movie.
Passion of Christ.
There you go. Watched it. And she said, why would any man do that?
Oh Lord.
But listen, she didn't know. She hadn't been taught like I had been taught. She hadn't
Right.
been indulged into religion and church like at all.
Ooh.
Then I had another person say the same thing. Now, granted, I said the same thing to both of them, but in my life, I think it's been three people. All three of them said the same thing. And I thought, first, are they serious? And when I
Wow.
realized that they were, and realized right then, sometimes the only love a person sees is you.
Mm.
And that love comes from God.
Mhm.
I love
Mhm.
you because this man loved me
Mhm.
when I didn't know how to love me.
Right.
And that in itself, because we are responsible, we're so responsible for what we say and do around certain people because sometimes you are the only love they see.
Exactly.
I am responsible to learn to love myself.
Ooh. Yes.
It is my duty to learn to love me.
Learn to love your flaws and all. Whatever's going on in your genetic makeup, your characteristics, we gotta love it all.
See, you about to get your genetic makeup and going there now.
I mean, I had a problem with, I mean, that was one of the things that kept me from loving myself because, you know, unfortunately, I was um always told when I was younger, "Oh, you're pretty for a dark skinned girl."
Mm,
So I thought about that and I'm like, what does that mean that dark skinned girls aren't pretty? So
right.
I had this subconscious and self consciousness about myself, thinking that oh, most people don't think people that look like me are pretty or worth uh loving or liking or anything like that.
Right.
So it made me question, well, other people see me like that. I mean, and I didn't have anybody to uh, affirm me completely to that degree, so
Right.
that I could understand that that was someone's own bias. That was
Mm-hmm.
somebody's, their upbringing. Just like you were
Right.
saying, they didn't know about, you know, Jesus dying for them. I didn't know that people had biases like that. And that stuck with me so long that it became a part of me. So yeah, that became part of my genetic makeup, because in
See,
the
and I,
back of my head, I'm still thinking, you know, I'm a dark-skinned black girl, or
mm,
now black woman.
yeah, yeah.
So
See, and mine, oh God, you just really went there. Okay. Mine was, I think we talked about this, but we talking to the tribe. So let me put the tribe out there. Especially, I'm going to really, I'm taking a chance, but I'm going to put it out there considering all of the stuff that we're going through right now when it comes to how people of color are being treated.
hmm
Um, I I grew up with my mom wasn't, about makeup or anything like that. She's pretty, just wash your face and your body, comb your hair, and go out the door.
hmm
Put on some jewelry. Um, so I didn't grow up around a lot of makeup.
hmm
Uh, Makeup is something that I learned to like,
hmm
but I didn't grow up around it. So she wasn't the one to be like, "Oh, you're pretty." This she was just cold hearted, like, "Don't you worry about what they say." But then I had an aunt who, and she listens often, Auntie Mary, Titi Mary. She had a habit of telling me that I was pretty. And I think that may have been the beginning of me learning to love me.
hmm
Wasn't that my mother wasn't doing anything, but this, we have to understand that what we put into people grows. It's a
Oh
seed.
yeah.
And she had put, that was a seed she gave me, that she put
hmm
in me. So it helped me along the way where I had some issues similar to yours, but mine happened about seventh grade. And instead of being, "You're pretty for being a dark girl," it wasn't, it was, "I think I'm cute because I think I'm not black,"
What?
or "I wasn't black enough," because I had friends of other nationalities.
hmm
And that became a part of my genetic makeup because when we got to the moments of being an adult and moments similar to the events that are happening now, I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know
hmm
how to feel because the people that look like me dogged me out
Yes.
for
Yes.
looking like them.
Yes.
And what I didn't know, thank God my aunt put that seed in me. What I didn't know was it was because they didn't love themselves.
Right.
But I
And
didn't know that.
exactly, you don't know that when people are planting those seeds. You don't know what's going
Mm-mm.
on in their minds, especially if you haven't discovered all this for yourself at that time.
Right.
So seeds grow, whether good or bad. Just that's why the Bible said, "Let the wheat and the tare grow together."
Mm-hmm.
So that bad seed gonna spring up just like the good seed will.
Right.
And we have to learn to cultivate the good seeds and pull out the weeds,
Yep.
and learn to be confident in who we are. Um, and that's what's helped me in my walk with learning to love myself, is having the confidence that I have in God. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I don't have the blueprint on all of this. I'm still arriving. Um,
Right.
but I do know that I have confidence in who God made me to be. And where he's taking me. I didn't know that a few years back,
Mhm. Right.
but I'm so glad that I know it now. Um,
Right.
just have you have to continue to work through it and work on it, and
Right.
make sure you pluck out all the bad weeds as soon as you see them start plucking up or coming up.
Mm, 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 mm. You mentioned more than once the evolution of hey, AJ.
Mm, my
And
God.
I want to tap into that because I think like this that's what made you perfect for this subject. I feel if you think you've arrived,
Girl, no.
you this brother,
Right?
I
Yeah,
swear, my grandma was you supposed to learn something every day. My mom still says that. You got to learn
yes,
something every day.
every
I,
day.
I learned something about me every day. Like remember we were talking about the crab. My
Uh-huh.
mom never gave us crab. I grew up, I learned to eat it, and 3 years later, I was allergic to it.
You OD'd.
I
You
did.
you
I,
OD'd.
lo-
That's
I
what
loved
happened.
myself and
I
my
had
self loved crab.
uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I love crab too. I just have to I know I have to do it in moderation.
I'm going to figure out how to eat it. Don't you know?
You might have to do some imitation maybe.
That I
I
don't
don't
want
know.
that anymore. I've had enough of that. Enough of this imitation stuff.
Right? It's like
But
we need the real love.
right, come
We
on,
don't need the imitation.
talk about it. I don't want no fake love. Don't come over
Right?
here.
Right?
I know what is something daily you do in my house. I somebody came in my house and told me I was cocky. Whatever, because I don't care. Right? Whatever. There's mirrors everywhere.
Hmm.
I like what I see.
Come on.
My flaws,
Hmm.
my achievement, and I'm the hardest on myself. Like in business,
Hmm.
I I promoted in one of the businesses that I have twice back to back, and was still like, this is not enough.
Right. Right.
So you come in my house and you tell me I'm cocky because I got a bunch of mirrors, whatever. I just like looking at stuff. It's blingy to me. You see what I'm saying?
Right?
So, what is one of the ways? What is something you do every day to love you,
um,
or to learn to love you more?
to learn to love me more. Hmm. Well, I know I find pleasure in being able to help somebody else.
Yeah,
I've always had a passion to help other people. And I find that when I help, when I help someone else with an issue or to pray with them or just be that sounding board, that it helps me.
yeah.
And it helps me to appreciate where I am and how I'm made um, with God and in God,
Hmm. Hmm.
if that
Hmm.
makes sense. It's just
Yeah,
it's, and I think that's what um, drove me to get my certificate in life coaching and yeah, and in business coaching. So because I wanted to be that help to somebody, um,
yeah.
to be that strength for somebody. But I know there's times when I need somebody to be that strength for me.
Right.
And like I said, I've been able to put a community of people around me, a village of people around me that you know we talk almost every day, and we share and we pray and we encourage each other and we lift up each other, and that's what helps me because it reminds me of um,
Hmm.
who I am in God and who I am in my family and my business, and all that stuff.
I think having those people, and correct me if I'm wrong, having those people around you, first you need to learn who to pick, and that's part of the process of learning of you. Then you
Mhm.
learn who to keep around you.
Mhm.
But once you learn who those people are, you'll start learning that those people remind you of how you validate yourself,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they
Exactly.
they remind you. I, I think for me, over the last 4 to 5 years, as many people as I like, there has been, my journey has changed so
Mhm.
much drastically that I was desperate. And I've never been a person that needs people around because they've always been around.
Mhm.
So I never felt like I needed them around. But there was a desperation, and it's really hard. How do I put? When people say sometimes you feel the most alone in a crowded room,
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
having those moments.
Mhm.
It's like, here's this chick who grew up around all these people who have all this, all these people that are calling you family, whether they're blood or not. But I'm feeling the most alone right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And really had the urge to come out and say, God, I need you to help me see. Like, I need you. You may not move this fog away from me, but help me to learn to get through it so I can see these people that I need around me. And that's when I realized I had a safe place
Mhm.
and was able to say, hey, Angel, I need you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Feeling it was okay to, oh boy, here we go. Learning it was okay to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't so much pick people to be around me. It happened so organically until it was like, wow.
Right.
I mean, it was just like orchestrated and ordained by
Mm-hmm.
God, how everybody came into place, and they serve different purposes, but yet fulfills the same purpose
Right.
for me. It's just a weird thing how, like I said, it just happened. I didn't so much go and I mean, a couple people I did ask if they could be, I asked a couple people to be my accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked that, I wasn't really sure because even one of my friends asked, okay, so what does that mean? What do you want me to do? How do you want me to hold you accountable or help you stay accountable? And, started asking me questions that I wasn't even sure of how to answer.
Right.
I just,
Mm-hmm.
I just asked. And so when I said, well, let me think about it. I said, I know I want this, this, and this, but let me think about it some more. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I shared what I finally wanted from her, she's like, "Oh, well, I think I'm going to need you to do that for me too." So we started holding each other up and holding each other accountable and checking each other. And, and I saw a post one time that says, we all need that one friend that will tell us that that was wrong or you're wrong.
Yes.
And I have that village. And when I say village, it's no more than five. It's not a lot of people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that they'll say, "Sissy, what's going on?
Right.
You haven't done that yet. What are you doing? Why are you
Right.
why are you procrastinating?" And
Right.
so, and I have one friend that she loves to go to the root of the matter. She drills down to the very kernel. You hear me? The kernel
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
the seed to until we find the answer and the root cause. And I mean, and at first that used to bother me because I'm like, man, if she don't stop drilling me, and it wasn't so much she was drilling, it was that she wanted me to dive deeper and think deeper into the situation or
Mm-hmm.
what have you to learn why am I doing what I'm doing, especially in the area of I was going down this road of self sabotage.
Mm.
And that's all a part of learning to love yourself too.
Come on, you're opening up some cans. I'm listening.
Yes, because when we self-sabotage and things go wrong, then we have this thing to fall back on and say, see, I knew that wasn't going to work. See,
Hmm.
I knew I
Hmm.
shouldn't have done XYZ.
Right.
And it was because we did that. We don't have anybody else to blame but ourselves. We
Hmm.
sabotaged either a relationship or a partnership or a business deal or whatever. We did it. So
Right.
we have to learn to hold ourselves accountable first before we can ask somebody else to hold us accountable.
You know what's so funny with the self-sabotages? Well, come up with the excuses.
Hmm.
And this is so the opposite of loving you. We'll
Yes.
come up with the excuses
Hmm.
on why it won't work,
Hmm.
then see the excuses of why it didn't work, and then turn around and try to justify it and say, well, what's
Hmm.
for me is gonna be for me. Not when you have just rooted all kind of
Yeah.
crap into
Yep.
it.
It's seeing in the energy and the time and the mind space that it takes to develop and devise that whole plan of self sabotage. We can turn that around for good.
Right, right.
And make sure that it works and not sabotage it.
That
If you'd have thought of the out, the escape, you thought of the reason why it's not going to work, or this is what I'm going to do when it doesn't work, because we're planning for it to fail anyway. Why not just flip it and plan for it to succeed?
right. And then maybe, oh, this is part of loving you. Give yourself reasons and continue to remind yourself of the reasons why you deserve
Hmm. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
it. Yeah,
Sometimes we
that
don't feel that we deserve
yeah.
the
Hmm.
love for
Yes.
ourselves or from others because come on, sis.
Yes. We
Oh,
forget to remind ourselves we're
yes.
worth it.
Yeah.
You are worth it. Long as you're breathing, you're worth it.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
Oh, I know this ain't gonna work because they
Hmm.
don't like. I'm gonna say this. They're not gonna like it because they don't like black people. What? This is the killer. Get
Uh.
mad when somebody darker than them does it and it works out.
But we go in with those preconceived notions though. We go in with those
Right.
pre-existing ideas. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you have a sign on your front, like a sign, the front and the back that says, um, I don't think you like black people, so this ain't gonna work. So people gonna look at you with that sign on your face, because that's where we
Right.
wear it. That we wear that sign right there on our face.
Right. And
And
it
so
says,
they're
look,
gonna
it's not gonna work because I'm black. What?
right. So they're gonna bypass you. And then somebody else, like you said, that might be darker, might be whatever else other than us. And
Right.
they'll get the deal, they'll get the acknowledgement or the sale or whatever the case may be, they'll get it. And you're looking at them like, how they get it and I didn't. And I know they don't like black people. They didn't
Right.
have that sign on their face. They didn't
And
have that attitude, that chip on their
right.
shoulder.
Right. And the reason and the reality of it is the reason why you didn't get it is not to stop using excuse. God just don't want me to have it. There's some things He's allowing you to do. He gave you knowledge and talent for a reason. He loved you that much.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
majority of the time, the reason why you don't get it is because you're walking in fear.
Mm. So true.
Reality of fear is it's a poison in you.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. Yesterday, I'm so crazy. Something about Will Smith that I'm always watching. He do stuff that I know I'm not going to do. Not because I'm scared of it, just like yeah, I can live vicariously through you, Will. I believe in you.
Hmm. Me
so,
too.
so yesterday, he jumped in the ocean to swim with sharks.
Mm.
His fear, it wasn't necessarily of the shark, it was of the ocean, which I watched it because my I'm very uncomfortable with water. I don't look. Don't come over here with no water guns and all that. That's a problem for me. Okay, like a cat, we're gonna fight. Uh, but I'm watching it because that's something. Things that he does is I'm very I'm a lot like that. Don't push me and try to make me do anything. But let me watch it, and if it's something that I want to do, let me conquer my fear. But he's doing it, and he said something that was from, and I wrote it down, but I can't remember who was from. General somebody. Fear is not real. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to suffer things that do not at present and may not ever exist.
Mm.
So we self sabotage, which is the opposite of loving yourself, or the opposite of realizing it's okay to love yourself. Walking in fear. That's why they got the record deal, the contract, the job. Listen, I knew nothing, and you can testify to this. I knew nothing about walking in ministry the way I do now. I grew up seeing a man walk in that boldness. The fear crippled me for years. It was fear of two things. It was because I didn't know how to love me. I thought I did, but I wasn't loving me like I should. Fear crippled me because of obligation, of what I grew up knowing, and what I grew up seeing. And I bring that up because part of us loving ourselves is realizing sometimes it's not what we are used to seeing.
Right. That is so true.
Sometimes it's not comfortable.
Oh,
In
not
that,
at all.
yeah, and in those moments is when I learned how to be, that it was okay to cry. Because I've cried a lot. I'm not afraid to say that now. I've cried a lot. I've lost a lot of friends. And then even in the midst of losing them because they don't want to talk to me, because they don't believe in what I heard God tell me to do, there were a lot of deaths. So there was a lonely, dark space in my life. And I had to learn what loving me was.
Right. Right. It's in those alone times where we have decisions and choices to make.
Yes.
We have to decide and make it a conscious effort all the time to see our worth,
There it is.
value our own worth,
Talk about it.
and love ourselves through it all and in spite of it all. And when you're talking about fear brings torment.
Yes.
God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, but He's given us the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and a sound mind. So that power, that love, and that sound mind, totally opposite from the fear that torments us when we are not in that place of loving ourselves. I can remember, like I said earlier, when I was going through, and this is actually my first time sharing this openly, other than, a few family friends, that I went through a bout of depression and anxiety and fear. And I can remember I was always afraid. when I was going through that. And when I was in that isolated, dark, lonely place, I had to fight my way out.
Yeah.
Um, I had to, like I said, make conscious efforts that no, I'm not going to settle for being in this dark place and being tormented by the devil. I remember
Mm-hmm.
going to the store one day, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I was in such a fog until two separate incidences I'll share about you when I went to the store. The first one, I was in this fog pushing my cart down the aisle, and I stopped to get something off the shelf. And I'm looking at the shelf, but I'm not seeing nothing on the shelf because I'm in this fog. Someone
Mm-hmm.
came up behind me, and girl, I almost jumped inside the basket. That's how much
Mm-hmm.
anxiety and fear I had. And then I started just shaking all over. And I'm like, let me get out of the store. I just need to get out of the store and get back home. I wanted to get
Yeah.
back home, get in my bed, and just lay there because
Mm-hmm.
that's what that fear was doing to me. It was gripping me, it was making me to the point where I was afraid to move,
Yeah.
not just move in, you know, in my house or anything like that, but just move, period, even in life.
Yeah.
And I contemplated taking mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was saved at the moment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I still thought about, I started thinking because I didn't love myself, I started thinking nobody else loves me either.
Yes.
Nobody's going to miss me. They wouldn't care if I was here or not.
Go
they
ahead, free somebody. Come on.
they didn't I just didn't believe nobody really genuinely loved me. So if no one else loved me, why should I love myself?
Yeah.
That's where I was. That's
Mm-hmm.
how heavy it was. Doggone it. Now I need my tissue. But I had to make a choice to be free.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to church one day and had on my little mask. People come by, hey, how you doing, Sis Jackson? Oh, I'm good. Crying on the inside. I'm not good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about leaving this earth by my own hand. I'm not good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at the time, I had so much medication prescribed by the doctor. I'm like, oh, I can just take this and this and this and just go to sleep. And it was because I did not feel loved, not so much by others, but by me.
Yeah.
So when I went to church that day, one of the ministers came and gave me a word that started the process for me. That, and of course, like I said earlier, therapy. But those two together can completely free you from sabotaging yourself to death,
Yeah.
because that's the ultimate sabotage. You sabotage yourself to death.
Yeah.
And that's the roller coaster that I was on. That was the vortex that I was on. And so funny I use that word vortex because he said, I see you in a whirlwind. And he's like, God is stirring that whirlwind, and you're going to come out without a hair on your head out of place.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I'm thinking, what? What? I had a hard time processing that at the moment, but you know what? That started the process for me.
Yeah.
And I was finally able to uh, when I got to myself and was able to get to a quiet place and sit and pray, I was finally able to get some words out instead of just sit there and cry.
Yeah.
So, whew,
I want to say first, we ain't got to the end of the show yet. We take 30 minutes to an hour. We almost to an hour.
how long we been on here?
It's been 6 minutes. I can't end right there. I I'm sitting here with I got Kleenex behind me, in front of me, on the side of me. I I first of all, thank God for you for your transparency. And the reason right before you start telling this part of your testimony, I thought about an actor that we all love so much, Robin Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and how there were some very close people to me, all in church, kept saying, you got to learn how to love who you are, and then you won't do stuff. They got to get in touch with God, and then
Mm,
you won't do stuff like that. Well,
mm,
they had some friends that was.
mm,
I'm not a psychiatrist.
mm-mm.
I'm not a counselor. Um, I live by experience, and sometimes the experience I live by is from others. But what I did learn is something that you just talked about. And I was so angry when they said that about me. And I remember finally blurting out saying, how do you know what he was feeling? And have you ever sat and felt like nobody loved you and everybody was telling you that they did?
Hmm. I
You ever
thought they
have
were lying.
right?
You're
That's what I
all
was.
lying.
You feel like they're tricking you,
Right.
and it comes in so many ways. For some of us, it comes with just where you isolate. That's me. Just isolate myself. Don't want to be bothered. You talk about you love me, but this is how I feel right now. This
Mm-hmm,
is how you
mm-hmm,
treating me.
mm-hmm,
But I don't love myself enough to tell you I don't like what you're doing to me.
mm-hmm,
For some of us, it's come in the form of suicidal thoughts.
mm-hmm,
And some of us, it's come in the form of you didn't cut somebody out.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It comes in many ways, but the fact that you can be brave enough, and I'm just going to talk to you right now, the fact that you were brave enough to put yourself right now in the light. Somebody is living again because of it.
I pray so.
You, I'm really trying to keep it together. Learning to love you is not an easy thing. It's a daily conscious effort
Mm-hmm,
to go through the process
mm-hmm,
every day.
mm-hmm.
It does not look, my process does not look
Oh,
like your process.
not at all. Not at all.
Your process doesn't look like my process. And we're sitting here crying right now because it's just Jesus.
Right?
But we don't love each other
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know how to love us.
Right.
Period.
Right. And look,
Period.
I had, I had, I have a big family. So I have family. I have friends. I had people around me, but yet I couldn't see their love because I couldn't see my love for me.
Right.
I thought they were lying. I thought, no, y'all don't really love me. Y'all wouldn't care if I was gone.
Mm-mm-mm.
So it it is definitely a conscious effort. Build yourself up in your most holy faith.
Mm-hmm.
and really get to know who you are and
Yes.
learn that it's okay that you're not okay.
Yes.
That's a big thing. I mean, I the reason why I kept saying that, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, is because I did not give myself permission to
Mm-hmm.
not be okay.
Yep.
I didn't think I had the right to say, oh no, I'm not good.
Mm-hmm.
We got to learn to just say it. We're not good.
Right.
And we don't want to burden people. So a lot of times when people ask, "Oh, I'm not good," but I'll be okay,
Yep.
because you don't want to either burden somebody else, or we think we're burdening somebody else down with our problems, or I don't want to tell you, or what, whatever. Because some people, yeah, you can't share everything with everybody. But it's okay to be like, I will be okay, and
Yes.
find the person to share what you're really going with.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably, it's someone that is either a licensed therapist, or one of your a good friend that can help you
Mm-hmm.
pray through the situation, not pray and talk about the situation, but pray, help you pray through the situation.
There it is. You might as well say that again.
Yes, because I had to call one of my friends one time, and I was just crying. I'm like, it wasn't a good day. And I was happy that I was able to at least call somebody crying, because I would have just cried by myself. And
Mm-hmm.
you start talking to making your own narrative up about situations. Your
Yeah.
yourself will talk you out of so many things and out of so many
Right.
relationships, because we have this internal dialogue with the call and response and the answers to the questions that we ask ourselves, and we're misguiding ourselves
Right. Right.
in our
Right.
own mind with our own dialogue, because of this internal conversation that is completely untrue, because we're not getting the answers from the sources that the answers need to come from.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
called a friend one time, and I'm calling crying, and I'm saying, oh, this is that, I'm going through this. I said, can you pray with me? She's like, well, I know you are a prayer warrior. You're an intercessor. She was like, so what I'm going to do is agree with you in prayer. So you pray. And I was like, I almost got mad for a minute, but I was still crying. So I'm like, okay, I called you to pray for me. She's like, no, you pray. So I started praying. And the more I prayed and she agreed with me in what I was saying, the stronger I felt.
Yeah.
And I felt better afterwards. And I had to tell her thank you, even though at the beginning of that whole process, I was gonna hang up and be like, you know what, I'll talk to you later. You ain't gonna pray for me. Forget you then.
I just
That
asked you for one
right,
thing.
right. That's why I didn't call nobody in the first place. I didn't stay here and cry by myself. I could have did all that by myself. But I needed her to do that for me, because it strengthened me. It helped me.
Yeah. You got to have that one friend that knows, that'll just stand out of the way.
Uh-huh.
I'll just stand there and be like, no, you can do it. What? What? Wait a
She's like,
minute.
because I don't know what you're going through. I can't pray for something I don't know all the details to. So you pray.
Right. And I'm
So,
praying with you, but
hmm
I'm
keep
going to get out of your way. I'm going to help you
exactly.
get out of your way.
Ooh, girl, okay. How much longer we got on this call? Because getting out of our own way is a whole
Yep.
nother process in learning to love yourself, because we get in
Yeah.
the way
Mm-hmm.
and we can get sick of our own self.
Yep. Yep. I have, I earlier you said it, some friends are for certain things.
Hmm.
So, uh, I call it the besties club. I have a lot of friends, but these particular individuals, I call them the Besties Club.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going through something recently and for some reason, and the residual of it is still around right now, but for some reason, I was so settled with it. And when I say settled, I mean, I know they were all expecting me to just be like, oh my God, why? And I wasn't that way. I was just really saying, I'm okay. And I was okay in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I one of them is the one that says, you just haven't processed it. And I was like,
Mm.
no, I processed it. I'm
Mm.
good.
Sure.
The other one is the one who quietly prays, but will tell you what you've been praying about. Then there's one that will speak and say, well, will remind you of the situations that have happened around what you're looking at. And then the other one is crazy like me that will just joke with you to get you okay. Well, in this process, while I thought I was okay, there was a moment that all of a sudden I felt myself going back into what you call the vortex.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that usually jokes with me was kind of like, hey, let's do, and I didn't want to. And she was like, I have this, I want to bring it. I was like, no, that's okay. And then finally I got, like you said, I got mad. I was like, fine. And I said, okay. But this is the thing about when you my process. In my process of asking God to show me who needs to be around me, the people that needed to be around me, which is this Besties Club, they don't always wear that same hat that I named.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Joker, the comedian came over, we're having a serious conversation that we would make jokes about, and I started crying. And she said, no, 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 no. What I realized is there had been moments in the last 6 months that I had those breakdowns about different things, and I started crying. And that was the one that normally is the one that joked.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other one that said, no, you're still processing, is the one that usually is like, okay, no, wait a minute. She's usually the comforter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it kind of switched. She was the protector now. And she don't have a gun, but she wanted. She was now that one that was like, no, I'm standing strong. So I said all that to say that sometimes that crowd of people that you have that you need around you,
Mm-hmm.
we also have to understand that they'll switch hats for the necessity
Mm-hmm.
of the situation. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, even in this, when we first talk, I'm used to us laughing and joking, and your hat switched. And I felt I was in a space that was safe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay if I'm crying. And even if you were sitting right here next to me, I would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But had I not taken these steps, gone through this process, I wouldn't have seen that in me.
Well, praise God for the steps.
And I don't know how much tissue is sitting outside this right here. A
Praise
mess.
God. Praise
Just,
God for the steps.
well, before we get off, I mean, we have, this is heavy. We have touched on the battle of loving yourself,
And
process of loving yourself, breaking down the pride, learning it's okay to cry,
the comeback from
the
not loving
comeback,
yourself.
Yes. The
Whew.
anxiety that happens in between
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing we haven't, this is the last part of it, is the forgiveness.
Whew. Yes.
I'm putting that on the table. I'm giving it to you right there.
Those two go hand in hand. The love and forgiveness. That's another part of from the comeback that I learned that I had to do is to forgive myself from all the mistakes that I made,
Mm-hmm.
from all the times that I devalued me and allowed others to do the same,
Mm-mm-mm.
um, for all the permissions that I gave to, or the powers that I gave to other people in defining who I was without me first acknowledging or um, setting that narrative. I let somebody else do it. So I gave them the power. So I had to forgive myself for that. I mean, I had to break down all areas, like you said, pride and um, the hurt that that I caused myself and that I caused others, and the way I treated people because I didn't love myself. I mean, I had to forgive myself for
Yeah.
the words that I said because of how I didn't love myself. So I said some very choice words to some people, and I had to forgive myself. And I mean, I had to ask them to forgive me. And then after
Yeah.
they forgave me, I still held myself behind that gate. The lock wasn't even on it, but I put myself behind the bars and shut the door. It was like, nope,
Mm-mm.
I'm going to keep holding myself in contempt because I'm not worthy of forgiveness.
Mm-mm-mm.
Not only am I not worthy of the love, I'm not worthy of forgiveness from myself.
Mm-mm-mm.
But I had to break that door open. Well, I didn't have to break it open because there was no lock on it in the first place, but I had to just
Right.
push the door open and walk out, and then close the
Oh,
door behind me and put the lock on it so that I would never return behind that gate.
right.
I can't live there. I stopped
Mm-mm.
my progress. I held up so many things that I'm just now starting to do. My dad even said something to me the other day, and I kind of got upset at him too for saying this. But he's like, I'm glad you're doing this, but what took you so long? Like, man, leave me alone. Like, what? Tell me
The
what
nerve.
took me so long. Yeah. But I had to think about what did I put limitations on myself. I put, I held myself in bondage and in contempt and in fear and uh, not worthy and unforgiveness, and all
Mm-hmm.
of that held me up for years. So now I feel like I'm on like a fast track, and I can't afford now to let grass grow under my feet because I
Right.
wasted so much time and so many years of me going through the process of figuring out who I was
Right.
so that I could love myself and be free and forgive myself. So
Mm-mm-mm.
they go hand in hand, I tell you, that love and
Mm-mm-mm.
forgiveness.
Well, this is
So
we probably
free,
gonna have
so
to
free your mind and the rest will follow.
come on, involve. We probably gonna have to pick this subject back up again because this might be a group panel situation going on. That's
Right,
something for me to think about.
right, right. Free yourself.
Free, free yourself.
Isn't that a Kelly Price song? Go
You
ahead
know,
and free yourself.
yes. Come on,
Free
Kelly.
yourself. Free
Free yourself.
yourself and love yourself.
Mm. Okay. Now, before I give my last little situation, if I usually say it another way, but that's not how I feel led to say it. I feel led to ask you
Oh Lord.
before we get off this line.
Oh Lord.
before I give my last little quote, if you could turn back time, and tell your younger self something about learning that it's okay to love you, what would it be?
Validate yourself and don't put limits on anything you can do. You're stronger than you know, you're bigger than you know, and somebody's waiting on you.
You better come on. You just done messed me up, guys. Somebody's waiting on you.
Somebody's waiting on you.
Come on. I like that. I need to
Yes.
make. Let me write that down. Someone is waiting
They
on you.
they're waiting on the ministry that's in you to come
Mm-hmm.
to full flourishing. They're waiting on the ministry that's in you, Lucretia. I'm talking specifically to you, not so
Oh my
much
God.
the tribe, but I'm talking to you. They're waiting for that tsunami
Mm,
of the Holy Spirit that's in you to be free to move about how it's designed to move about in you and be demonstrated in you how He has put it in you to be demonstrated out. And I pray the glory of God sit on you and rest on you so heavy that you won't be able to contain or sit on or sit back or even be comfortable enough to sit back in your place of, I'm just going to wait my time. Your time is now. It's not a next. I told my some of my business partners today. I said it's not your next level. It's your now level. This is the
mm,
level that God has for you now, and it's not going to change. It's just going to keep evolving and it's going to keep increasing. So your now level will never cease.
mm. Uh, you really messed me up now. I received that.
Amen.
I hope you're praying my strength because you just
Amen.
messed me all the way up. Sorry, tribe. I'm taking that and I'm going to listen to it every day. Yes. I thank
it's
you for letting God use you because I needed to hear that.
yeah.
I did. I appreciate you for that.
Whew.
My God.
One more thing, girl. It's gonna flow through you with ease. It's not gonna be a forceful thing for Holy
Ooh,
Spirit to flow through you with signs and evidences.
ooh.
Take that.
Okay.
Whew. Girl, we better end this call because I feel it stirring.
It's because
Just
you
call me
messed me up.
after. Call me after.
Okay, so before I say goodbye, my last thought is this. Tribe, she got me messed up. Where my tissue at? Oh, you tribe, you have the power to divinely give yourself permission to learn to love you, no matter what it looks like. That's what I have to say about the tribe, to the tribe. But before we say goodbye, AJ,
Yes,
Angela
ma'am.
AJ Jackson,
Yes, ma'am.
tell the tribe where they can follow you
You
on
can
social media.
you can follow me on social media at on Facebook at AJ Jackson. You can also follow me on YouTube. My YouTube page is FA Concepts LLC. Instagram is um, also FA Concepts LLC, and I am Ms. Jackson.
Mm, mm, mm. Well, tribe, this has been another episode of Love Chat. Thank you, Angela Jackson, for pouring into us, for being transparent and being who God designed you to be.
Thank
This
you,
is
sis.
Love Chat, uncut, unedited, unfiltered. Love you, girl.
Love you too.
And love you, tribe.
Bye,
Till the next time, this is the Love Chat. Thank you.